Assessment and Accountability Review Subcommittee, our first meeting for the interim for Tuesday, June 1st. I'd like to call this meeting to order. As we call the roll, I ask that members indicate if they are present from their annex office, or if they're present remotely. Mariah, would you please call the roll?
Senator Kerr, Senator Neal, Senator Wilson,
Here.
Representative Bojanowski, Representative Bojanowski, can you hear me? She's not responding. Representative Huff, Representative Riley, Chair Wise,
Present in the room.
Co-Chair Reed.
Here.
Thank you very much. We will wait and see if Representative Bojanowski, if you do jump on, if you just put in the chat function that you're present. We do see that you're there, but not speaking at this time. If we have any other member jump on, we will notify them as well. I would ask that everyone, if you have a cell phone, to please put that to silence while the meeting is presented. And all materials have been sent electronically via email, and they should also be available on the committee's LRC website. I'm going to skip around on the agenda. I am going to move to the approval of the November 12th, 2020 minutes. Is there a motion to approve? There's a motion. There is a second. Oh, we don't. I'm sorry. We do not have a quorum for that. We'll move that on down the agenda. My apologies. The first thing we will go to is the Office of Education Accountability Annual Report. We have three that are in the room today that will be presenting. That being Marcia Seiler, Dr. Bart Lagoria, and Brian Jones. If you three would just identify yourselves for the record. And Dr. Lagoria, I'm not for sure if you want to take the lead on this or whoever wishes to proceed first, but the floor is yours.
Well, my name is Dr. Bart Lagoria. I'm the Research Division Manager for the Office of Education Accountability, and I'm getting some feedback here. Sorry.
That's okay. I think they're going to try.
And
I think it works. Did we get that off?
trying to mute over here.
Yeah. That's all right.
I think it's because of
Oh, yeah.
but that's already off too. I don't know. Let's break to 0 maybe.
Did that help? No, that didn't turn it off.
How about now? No.
Try it now.
Hello? Good.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think you have to unmute over there.
All right. I'm Marcia Seiler. I'm the interim deputy director. I'm over at the Office of Education Accountability. I've just been back a few months, so these guys you probably recognize. They've been reporting to you all. So introduce yourself.
Welcome
I'm
back.
Brian Jones. I'm Investigations Division Manager at OEA.
And Bart. So I think first we're going to present our 2020 OEA annual report. We bring this every year to you, sums up the activities of the office. As you're aware, we've been around since 1990, so in 2020 we hit a milestone, 30 years of OEA working in education. We changed through the years some, but it's generally consisted of two divisions, one that does investigations, one that does research. And I'm going to have Brian give a short update on investigations during COVID year. It's been interesting. And then Bart will give a short update on research. And then our second report is district data profiles, and Bart's going to handle that one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcia. Again, I'm Brian Jones. I'm Head of Investigations at OEA. And you all do have the 2020 report with you, and that outlines the duties and responsibilities of OEA and the types of cases that we handle. I know there's a bit of times at a premium here, so I'll just give you a few comments about how the pandemic has affected OEA. And just like everything else, you know, we were subject to the whims of the COVID. And if you look on the second page of the 2020 report, you'll see some data about how fewer complaints we received during the COVID year. We got 236 written complaints in 2020, and that compares to 414 in 2019. So I don't know if that's a function of, schools not being open as much. Maybe there's.
Excuse me, could you move a little closer to the
Sure,
mic or make sure
absolutely.
it's turned on?
Okay, is that better? Thank you, ma'am. Pardon me. In 2019, we had 414 written complaints as compared to 236 in 2020. I don't know if that's a function of the fact that schools weren't always open. Maybe there was less of a chance for friction or for people to have controversy, and that caused the number of complaints to dip. But that's about a 50% reduction in what we usually have. And if you look at the 2020 table 1.1 on the second page there, you can see there was really quite a dip. We opened 10 cases in 2020 and closed 31. Now, I don't have the numbers for 19 there adjacent to that, but I'll just point out that in 19, we opened 27 cases as opposed to 10 in 2020. And in 19, we closed 47 as opposed to 31 in 2020. So again, there's certainly evidence to show that the pandemic had its effect on OEA. One of the main things that it did to us was it kept us from going out on the road. When we do investigations, we travel to the district, and that we think that's only fair, because if you're going to, for want of a better term, accuse somebody of something and say that they're violating the law, or if you're gathering information about what happened, it's best to look people in the eye when you do that, to be on site. But we couldn't do that because there were travel restrictions for most of 2020. For a while, we let cases kind of sit, but then we decided we can't do that. We've got to do the best that we can, so we started dealing with cases on the phone. I know that's impersonal, but it's the best that we could do, and we could help move cases along. And so I'm happy, certainly from the staff's point of view, because they like to get out of the office every now and then. We are back on the road. We sent out a team last week, and then also we've got 2 people going out this afternoon. So we will be doing investigations in person. And so that everybody feels comfortable, we are observing a protocol. What we do is we'll call the superintendent, make sure that he or she's okay with this coming to the district. They have been. And then when we're there, if we're interviewing somebody, we give them the option to mask up, to socially distance if they feel the need to do that. Our people have not been told that they had to, but they're very comfortable volunteering to people that they've been vaccinated and that they don't think they're a threat. If someone still feels uncomfortable after all that, we'll talk to them on the phone. But it's good that we're back on the road, and I think we can do a better job with that by observing that protocol. So if y'all don't have any questions on investigations, I'll turn it over to Dr. Ligori.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Marcia. OEA's research division consists of a manager and 5 full-time research analysts. The research division is an award-winning staff. In 2020, we won 2 NCSL Notable Documents Awards, one for our 2018 report, Homeschooling in Kentucky, and another for our 2019 report, Teacher Shortages and Supports for New Teachers. OEA staff conducts research throughout the year and reports studies to EARS when the studies are completed. In 2020, EARS accepted 2 reports, the 2019 District Data Profiles and an overview of facilities needs and funding in Kentucky. They have both been published and can be found on the LRC website. A recap of the studies can be found in your annual reports. EARS also approved 3 studies, including the District Data Profiles for 2020 in OEA's 2021 study agenda. The annual District Data Profiles is a one-stop source of comprehensive district-level education data, including comparative data for all districts. I'm going to be presenting that later on in this meeting. Our second report is the Support Education Excellence in Kentucky, or SEEK program. This study will examine how SEEK and SEEK transportation funding is distributed to districts. Issues of equitable funding between districts, regions, and rural versus urban areas will be considered, as well as the local contributions that are made by districts. The study will also include how other states distribute education funding, and after that report is presented to EARS, it will also inform the work of the School Funding Task Force that was created by HB 405 this year. Our third report is on the Non-Traditional Instruction, or NTI program. Beginning in 2011 with the non-traditional NTI pilot, Kentucky districts that missed an excessive number of days due to weather or other emergencies have had the opportunity to conduct school through virtual or other non-traditional means on days that the district would have normally had to call off school. Since 2014, all districts have had the opportunity to utilize NTI days, and all districts participated in NTI during the COVID-19 pandemic. This study will include a thorough examination of the efficacy of the program. It'll include studying its impact on attendance and student performance, and also comparisons to similar programs in neighboring states, and approval processes will be included. As Brian had mentioned in his portion of the report, there have also been several impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on the 2021 research agenda. First off, during the 2020 school year, there were no statewide assessments, as you may already be aware. This means that some data points that we would normally rely on are not available for this year. Also, for this year's study agenda, we have not been able to do site visits. And due to the possible burden on school districts, we haven't sent out any surveys like we normally would in our data collection. However, due to the administration of state assessments this year, some restrictions being lifted and the COVID-19 crisis hopefully diminishing, we look forward to these factors not being as much of a factor in the 2022 research agenda. So thank you very much.
Thank you all. Members, any questions that we have? If not, do we have a motion to accept the report as it is presented? We do. We do have now a quorum online. Yes, we have 5 members. We have a motion by Senator Wilson. We have a second by Co-Chair Reed. All those in favor of accepting the OIE annual report do so by saying aye. All those opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you all very much. Dr. Liguori, I'm going to keep you right there if that's okay as we move down our agenda. The next on the agenda is the OEA report of the district data profiles. Please make sure your microphone is turned on there. Thank you.
Thank you, Co-Chair Wise. Let me share the screen very quickly. Okay, again, for the record, my name is still Dr. Bart Liguori, and I am still the Research Division Manager at the Office of Education Accountability. Today, we're going to be presenting the Kentucky District Data Profiles for school year 2020. This publication won a Notable Document Award in 2012 from the National Conference of State Legislatures. This is the 13th year of the report. The first year of the report was the 2008 school year. Just a quick reminder that caution should be used when comparing certain measures over the years. For example, graduation rate, student achievement, for example, CATS versus K-Prep, and fund balance percent have changed over the years. The purpose of the Profiles report is to provide easy access to commonly used education data. It's intended as a quick, reliable reference for seeing how each district compares to the state as a whole and to other districts with similar characteristics. The profiles are a compilation of data from the Kentucky Department of Education and the Kentucky Center for Statistics. Much of it is housed in the KDE School Report Card that is available online. The profiles provide much information about each district, including test performance, teacher qualifications, student safety, and much more. Please note that for school year 2020, Silver Grove Independent merged with Campbell County. And in the 2021 school year, which will be presented next year, West Point Independent will have merged with Hardin County. For this report, there will be 172 school districts. Next year, there will be 171 school districts. And the data, they were recorded by districts in 2 main systems, the Student Information System, usually referred to by its vendor, Infinite Campus, or IC, and Munis, the accounting, payroll, and financial system used by all of the districts. Just a quick overview of what's in the print version of the data profiles. The data dictionary defines terms and parameters for assembling the data and identifies the sources of all the data. That's followed by 172 district profiles in alphabetical order. After those is one profile for Kentucky as a whole. And at the end of the report, there are several tables. Those are useful for comparing districts and to see where certain districts rank. For the purposes of time today, we'll present only the changes that were made in the online interactive version of the 2020 district data profiles. You still have access to the printed version, and they were included as an electronic attachment in your packets. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Mr. Albert Alexander, our data guru over at OEA. He compiled all the data in the profiles and put together the print versions. This valuable trove of district-level data that OEA has compiled has been packaged in a way that's easier to interact with and can be used for future education research. We have taken into account the following feedback from the subcommittee in creating the data visualization tool. It should be mobile friendly. It should be intuitive, and it should allow for quick comparisons. There is a website within within LRC's website that contains the profiles. Because you've read this report, I'm just going to quickly abbreviate the presentation and guide you just through what's changed in the 2020 edition and some of the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Just to start out with, if you would like to follow along, and let me just make sure, you go to bit.ly/OEA-DDP 2020 years. And that should take you to this page within the website. Within the page, there are 3 separate visualizations. The District Data Profiles 2020, heat maps of selected variables, and 10-year trend data. In order to keep the feel of the original profiles, visualizations were divided into 5 tabs: demographic profile, staffing data, finance, performance, and in the 10-year trend data, we also had accountability. If we were, excuse me, in the 2020 District Data Profiles, it contains the same exact data as in the print edition. You start out on the cover page and you see a map of the Commonwealth and a filter where you can select district names. There are 3 major boxes: membership and calendar information, race, ethnicity, and school programs, and attainment and discipline. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, some data were delayed or not collected. Kindergarten readiness data will not be available until the summer. In regards to assessment and accountability data, in the spring of 2020, KDE applied for and was granted a waiver by the U.S. Department of Education, which allowed for Kentucky to bypass standardized testing for the 2019 to 2020 school year. At the same time, KDE was approved to be exempted from certain statewide accountability requirements. As a consequence of the approved waiver, the district data profiles will report those fields as NA in the printed version, due to those data not being available. In the online version, they're simply reported as blanks for right now. When the data come in for kindergarten readiness, we will update the information on the PDFs and also on the website and also on the interactive tool. I next want to just quickly discuss the heat maps. The second panel allows you to see heat maps of selected variables. Heat maps are a good way to display data about a geographic area, such as a state, or to make quick visual comparisons across school districts. The first map you see is a map of the percent of free and reduced price lunch students in 2020. If you look at the legend down below, you see that as the school district color gets darker, that they have a greater proportion of students receiving free or reduced price lunch. And new for this year, you will see a little inset for Northern Kentucky school districts. You can change the map you can change the data on the map you are viewing by going to the Measure Names selector. Some of the other measures are percent homeless, percent limited English proficiency, and percent migrant. There are 4 tabs, as I mentioned, in this particular visualization. I'm going to go to the Finance tab. And here you're going to see per pupil current expenditures. I want you to take notice when it loads up. Excuse me. Oh. There we go. The legend of the map and the colors have changed automatically to accommodate the new measure. I want to direct your attention to a new measure in this map. In previous years, there were separate variables for each of the facilities nickels levied by districts. This year, we have combined them all into one variable. That's called facilities nickels. Let me just go down here. You're going to notice a little bit of feedback there. You're going to notice that the darker the map, the greater the number of facilities nickels. If you were to roll over any of the districts, you see which facilities nickels they have levied. So some have none, and some have different ones as well. If you recall back to our report on facilities funding in Kentucky, growth in facilities funding has been driven primarily by the additional nickel taxes, but this has widened the gap between districts' facilities funding, so that's one thing to keep in mind. The last visualization shows average daily attendance. It's 10-year trend data. It starts out with average adjusted average daily attendance, and it's for a 10-year trend. And if you notice, it's remained rather steady for the last 10 years. And one of the things that you might notice is you can select whatever districts you would like. The default is with the state level data, but you could select whichever districts you might want. And as I mentioned before, if you were to roll over, you see any data from the rest of the state. You see the data for those particular years. One of the things that I want to direct your attention to is the accountability tab. The same districts you selected before are carried over into the new tab, but the user can change the measure variables. And they should be in the same order as in the print edition of the data profiles. However, not all variables from the print edition are included within the interactive version. One thing to take note of is that for this year, we're still including 10-year trend data for state assessments. However, you may note that it only goes up to 2019. Next year, we'll pick it right up again, and there'll just be a missing data point where it was for 2020. With any of these visualizations, you can export them as a picture, and I'm trying to get here, you can export them as a picture, a PDF, or as a PowerPoint slide if you'd want to just put it into a presentation. Also, I would want to remind you that there's an abundance of data in the district data profiles. However, if you're looking at the data, make sure that you take into account that some districts may be outliers. This is especially true for smaller districts. I would also remind you that you should always go to the print edition of the data profiles for more information about the data and data definitions. You can do that by clicking on any of these links within the notes, and it'll just have a pop-up with the full report there. And that's about it. If you have any questions about the tool or the profiles, I'd be happy to answer them. Also, if you'd like me to stay afterwards and you want to work with the profiles, I'd gladly stay after as well. Thank you.
Dr. Gloria, thank you so much. Appreciate you and your staff, your work and your in-depth research and the data that's provided. And thank you for the additions that you've made to this. It's very exciting to see and very helpful for those of us in the education field and also across the Commonwealth. Do we have a motion to accept the district data profiles? We have a motion to accept by Representative Reed. Do we have a second? Second, Senator Wilson. All those in favor of accepting the district data profiles, please do so by saying aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you being here today. Thanks for your information. The next we're going to move to is our review of administrative regulations. We have with us from the Kentucky Department of Education, General Counsel Todd Allen. We also have, I think, maybe remotely, Kelly Foster, as well as Matt Courtney, who may be participating if questions are needed remotely. But Todd, thank you for being. Oh, Kelly, I'm sorry, I didn't see you over there.
Okay, no problem.
Yep. If you don't care, we'll kind of go through these fairly quickly unless there's questions. But if you both can just identify yourselves for the record, please.
Hi, Kelly Foster, Associate Commissioner, Office of Continuous Improvement and Support, Kentucky Department of Education.
And make sure your microphone is turned on there, Kelly, and also Todd, if you don't care.
Good afternoon. Todd Allen, General Counsel for the State Board of Education and KDE.
Sounds great. Today's agenda includes a discussion of a Kentucky Board of Education Administrative Reg 703 KAR 005-280. And this regulation has a staff suggested amendment and a proposed agency amendment for our consideration. I guess first I do need to accept the staff suggested amendment for us to consider that. Is there a motion for approval of the staff suggested amendment, which amends various sections to comply with the drafting and formatting requirements of KRS Chapter 13A? Do we have a motion for approval of that? We have a motion by Co-Chair Reed. Do we have a second? We have a second for Senator Wilson. Without objection, it is so ordered. I don't think we need anything more than just the motion and the second. That's correct. All right. We also need to accept that there's an agency amendment as well on this. Is there any discussion on the agency amendment as it's being presented to us? Any questions or concerns with that? There's a motion for approval of the agency amendment from Representative Reed. Is there a second? A second by Senator Wilson. And also with that objective, it is so ordered. Are there any questions on the regulation from any members participating in the room or remotely from the committee? Seeing none, No further questions. I appreciate you all being here. Is there any comments you all would like to make with anything today?
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. Let's move back in order as we had it on the agenda. First, let's approve the minutes since we do have the quorum. The motion to approve our November 12th, 2020 minutes, do so by saying aye. Oh, excuse me, I'll take the approval first from Senator Wilson, second from Representative Reed. All those in favor of accepting the November 12th meeting minutes, do so by saying aye. All those. Motion does carry. And I do not know if we have 3 senators on the call.
I've got 2 members that are participating with phones. Could the 270 unmute and identify yourself for the record, please?
This is Representative Steve Riley on the phone.
Okay, Representative Riley. And could the 606 number also, please?
Representative Huff, is that you on the line? What we're going to do, let's go ahead, since we do have 3 House members present, we do not have 3 senators. Let's go ahead and do the nomination and election of our House member. Representative Riley.
Nominate.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. I'd like to nominate Representative Reed as co-chair.
Representative Riley has nominated Representative Reed. Is there a second on that nomination? Yes. Representative Reed.
Second it.
Thank you, Representative
Bojanowski.
Bojanowski. We have a second from Representative Bojanowski. Any other questions from any of the members? Seeing that there's a motion and there's a second, all those in favor of accepting Representative Reed as co-chair, please do so by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion does carry. Once again, we will do our Senate confirmation hopefully at our July meeting when we do have a quorum for that. In closing, just so members have for their tentative agenda, our next schedule for the interim is Tuesday, July 6th, 3 p.m. We also will have then Tuesday, October 5th at 3 p.m. and Monday, November 15th at 3 p.m. Those are our following meetings for the interim for the EARS Committee. Any other questions from any other members? If not, do we have a motion for adjournment? Thank you so much. Motion carries. We are adjourned.